And we're back for another episode of Behind the Bargains. Who do we got today? We got EJ with EJ's Appliance Repair and Sales. We have Matt Murphy, the Wholesale Director of New Appliances. And we got Lil old me with New Appliances. Brad couldn't make it today, unfortunately, but I'll heckle in his honor. So EJ, you got your first truck on your sales journey. How'd it go?
I underestimated it. I underestimated that experience. And it was only a half truck. I think there was like 40 pieces, and the semi was only half loaded. But we talked about location previously, about having a way to get the appliances in the building. Well, one thing that I didn't account for was these trucks come on a semi, and they don't have a lift gate. Now, you guys set up the accommodations logistically to have a box truck show up on site shortly after.
Transload.
Mm-hmm. So we did a little butt-to-butt action, and I just happened to have 2 extra guys with me that day. Thank God, because I thought, well, I'll just unload it myself, No big deal. It was something. I'll tell you, moving a French door fridge that's a job.
Yeah, it's not easy.
We've all done it, but now I can say I've done it 22 times in a row.
I could tell you, so at whenever I was first starting off, this is 2 warehouses ago, seems like forever ago, we didn't have a dock. And that transloading thing where the 18-wheeler backs up and you back up a box truck, a straight truck, it's a 26-foot truck, so they're both dock high, so it's a flat even. We never thought about that. We never thought that was an option. And the freight broker wasn't very helpful to bring that as an option because people have been doing that forever. It's not something that we came up with. But so we used to do it in different ways. Number one is we would bring the appliances to the edge of the truck, and then we would unload it by hand.
Yeah.
The second time we went to a forklift where we put a pallet on it and we had a flat piece of wood on it, and we did it like an elevator. And that was okay. But it took a lot of people. You had to have one dude on the forklift, one person loaded on there. You had to have one person holding on to it while it comes down. And I've even had to unload trucks by myself where I would strap the appliance dolly to it and then I would slide it off the end. And that was young Scott, not today's Scott.
Oh, yeah.
Then we went to a dock, eventually. But those were the evolution cycles that we went through on unloading a truck. So I feel you, dude.
The topic of the week has been a couple things with the trucks, right? I also need to have a way to deliver. So I have an enclosed trailer that's 6 by 12, which means the opening of the door is about 68.5 inches, which is not enough for
most side-by-sides and French doors are bigger than 68.5 inches.
69.5.
We're not going to lay them down. You can't even lean them back and then wheel them in because then it's too tall for the inside. So I either need to get a bigger trailer, get a truck with a lift gate, a box truck with a lift gate, whatever. Something's got to happen.
We've been through that phase too. So whenever I started, forever ago, I had a Suburban, and so you can't put anything in the bed of a Suburban. But I pulled a little tiny trailer. And you really become an expert at backing up a trailer really quick whenever the customer's watching you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went up to open. It was probably like a 16-foot trailer or something, all open. So you got to think about when it's raining or it's nasty outside, which in Texas, it never rains. It's a little bit different where you are. It's a stepping stone, and trailers hold their value really well too. You're not going to see a Best Buy delivered with a trailer, but you got to start somewhere that makes sense for you.
Yeah.
So we did that for a minute. Then once we got a storefront, we were kind of official. We moved up to a 16-foot box truck. A 16-foot box truck, Matt would probably disagree on the big box, high volume stuff. You run into a capacity limit relatively quickly. You can do about 5 deliveries in a day on a 16-foot box truck on average. If you're doing past that, you should probably be looking at a 26-foot. That's a taller truck. So our 16-foot trucks are not dock high. So they're a lot shorter, so they hit less stuff. As a business owner, you don't even think you need to say that out loud, but hitting stuff in a tree limb or whatever happens all the time. And those shorter trucks get hit less. They're also a lot cheaper. So like we run the Chevy 16-foot box. I think you can pick them up used, at least here in Texas, 40, 50 grand with a lift gate on it, with maybe under 50,000 miles. It's a big investment, to go from a trailer to that. But
And speaking of that, Matt had a recommendation for me of the high top Sprinter.
For low volume specialty delivery, kind of what you're at right now as far as what your customer flow looks like, the high roof Sprinter van is an awesome delivery vehicle. We used to deploy those into New York City very efficiently. You could get them almost anywhere. You didn't have to worry about clearances. You didn't have to worry about not being able to take a commercial vehicle on a certain road, yada, yada, yada. And they really are incredibly robust. And the nice thing about how they're designed is that they're low enough to the ground where it's actually relatively easy to drop a French door or even a built-in down to the ground without, risking it tipping or falling.
they'll fit in it? How tall is the clearance?
84.
Like 8 foot. Yeah. I was looking at it too. I saw a couple that was like 8'1", but 84, what's that, 7 foot? That's enough. And like you were mentioning about the low floor, taking it off, I would imagine that you could just pull a dolly up to it and then push it up on there too.
Exactly. It's low enough to the ground where when you're loading, you can bring it up with a dolly, tilt it, and have it move forward and just push it straight into the bed, or you can bring it up to the edge and lower it down gently without worrying about it taking a fall. When I was managing installations for a third-party company, I actually had several installers, even out in rural markets, that were using high-roof Sprinter vans for delivery and install. They had 5-6 jobs a day, and it may have been a little taxing on their capacity if they got too many fridges. But the advantage was they were very flexible and very nimble, and they didn't have to spend a lot of money to get into them. Typically, the installer that I had that had the biggest fleet was in New York, and he was picking up them used for about $20,000. I don't know what it's going to be like where you're at, but even in New York, New Jersey, he was able to get them for $20,000.
That's about right. I've been shopping around and I found some decent used box trucks with the ramp, which I don't think is cool, but 15, 16, a lift gate in the 20s. The Sprinter vans that you're talking about, 20s to 30s. And the thing that I'm looking at right now is probably like a $5,000 pickup truck with a lift gate and increasing my trailer size to 7 foot tall because I found a rent to own. I'm balling on a budget. It's a tight budget. And especially since, stepping up to the plate with the truckload, right? We're going all in. So I found this place that does rent to own trailers. They're brand new. You drive them off or pull them off the lot same day. And it's like $250 a month. So until we get a truck or two sold, I'm probably going to have to ball on a budget like that.
The other thing is no miles. You do not want to buy one of those used for the purpose of delivering and installing, especially if you have customers that want the heavier products. And it sounds like that's probably something that if it's not going to be in the next couple weeks, it might be in the next couple months where you might need to deliver a 36-inch professional range. And a lot of enclosed trailers take a lot of abuse when you buy them used. I think you're making a smart play, especially if you're going to get into delivering something on the heavier side.
So on the Sprinter vans, like what can you fit on a van? I have no experience with those.
You can fit a 36-inch built-in French door. In that same Sprinter van, you can also fit a 36-inch professional range. And on top of that, you can stack a dishwasher, range hood, and a microwave drawer. And if you get one of the diesel models, it actually has the torque to be able to move after you put 1,000 pounds of appliances in the back.
Yeah.
That was why I was really specific when I gave EJ a recommendation. You want a high roof diesel Sprinter van. If you buy one of the gas ones and you have to do a large product fulfillment, like if you sell a built-in refrigerator, if you sell a professional range, you're going to be very unhappy with your performance.
Oh yeah. We had the old trailer loaded down the day before we got the truck. I jumped on a deal I probably shouldn't have, but I love a deal. So I bought 12 coin operated washer and dryers, and it came with a 13th one for parts. And my trailer probably holds 10 tight.
Yeah.
But we put the other 3 on top of the other 10, and we had to drive around a little bit with that trailer that day. Man, it drank the gas a whole lot faster.
You know, so like in Austin, Texas, the company that did all of GE's installs used an enclosed trailer for almost 10 years. And they just plastered the side of it, and all the contractors had their own vehicles that would hook up to it. So you'd see those trailers everywhere. It's not, you know,
it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, it's nothing crazy to be running an enclosed trailer. And something to think about, you definitely want the advertising in that vehicle too. You don't want it to be unwrapped. So you want that big, beautiful sign right behind you, right on the side of it.
Yeah, I've got these logos on it right now, but it says sales
Nice.
instead of repair. And I got the little cartoon me, like you see back here, and my cartoon fridge. Branding. Always be branding.
But just start somewhere. Start somewhere that makes financially the most sense. And then you don't have to start with the biggest and the best. Just get the ball
Exactly.
rolling. And honestly, we sell to several companies like Habitat for Humanity. A couple of their locations don't offer delivery at all. We actually had to talk them into doing deliveries. You know, it is possible to do what you do and not offer deliveries. I wouldn't advise it.
Absolutely. I'd say about half of my customers probably wouldn't buy if we didn't offer delivery. 1, they want it now. And 2, most people don't have a truck or don't want to use it for that. And if I can sell it, I can charge something for that delivery. And sometimes they'll even wait a few days, maybe even till the weekend, depending on their urgency of need. But the topic I want to bring up for you guys is pricing for the delivery. I know where my prices are, but I don't know that they're high enough, but they're higher than box, I think.
So we just did this exercise a couple months ago, and the whole goal for the delivery department was we wanted to start off where it was paying for itself. So if you run if your delivery team was its own business, right? It was its own thing that lived by itself. Is it self-sustaining off of whatever you're charging? You know, there's a lot of pieces of that, right? Like how far are you going? How much labor is allocated to it? You know, how long does the delivery take? Is there a haul away? Is there a cost with that? Or is that a benefit? You know, there's a lot to take into it, but that's how we started. You know, we've always had serviceable zip codes, and we've had radiuses. And so in the smallest radius might be really affordable. I think ours is $45. That's what we advertise, delivery starting at $45. But whenever we started to look at it like it was its own business, and, you know, it's not just about closing the sale because the customer walks. If we looked at it like it had to pay for itself and keeping books on just that department, that helped just visualize what the goal is. And you had a starting place for it.
So $45. That sounds ridiculous to me. I don't think I want to leave the store for less than 100, but let's just run through. What would a delivery of a French door fridge, you have to take the doors off to get in their house, set up, first floor.
Do you want the big box answer, or do you want the independent answer?
Well, let's talk about both, because on one side, Matt, I know I can see when I walk into the blue or orange or blue and yellow, I can see on their tag what delivery costs, delivery and install, and mine's higher than that.
Yes.
Let's talk about both sides.
So the big box answer to that question is, like everything to do with big box retail, incredibly convoluted. So we start with, how does big box deliver an appliance to a customer's home? They use final mile contractors. They're companies that specialize in the last mile of fulfillment. So from a distribution point to the customer's home, they will spin up a facility, typically. Different companies have different names for them, but they all act as a centralization point to get the product to the customer in as efficient a way as possible. So if you think about it, if you are selling an appliance to a customer that's 100 miles away, you want to have multiple distribution points. What they do is they contract these final mile companies and they negotiate a rate. And then the final mile company takes their piece and then pays their contractor. So typically, if you're a home delivery contractor for any of the big retailers, you're making on average, industry average is $81 a stop. Now, what is a stop? A stop could be bringing in a refrigerator, connecting it to an existing water line, and taking away an old one. Or it could be delivering 6 appliances and doing basic connections on 3 of them or 4 of them. Your pay doesn't change based on that. It's purely you get paid by the stop. If you go over X number of stops, you get a $10 a stop bonus. So there's every incentive for these guys to take absolutely as many stops as they can possibly handle and push themselves to the limit. So the economics are going to be different as an independent retailer versus a big box store, because if you tried to operate that way on those margins, you're not selling enough to stack up enough profits to keep the lights on. You could never truly compete effectively with them. The calculus you have to do is, what are your customers willing to pay? And what does it really cost you to complete the delivery? You're not going to be able to get a third-party company interested in doing your deliveries. It's going to be very difficult to find a contractor that wants to take on inconsistent volume until you're steadily selling. That's going to be a hard challenge. So, like, what does it cost you to take an employee out of the field and send them on a delivery? Or what's the opportunity cost of that? Like, what could that employee be doing while they're doing that delivery that could be potentially making you more money?
We kind of had a different take on it. For a small scratch and dent store, customers are willing to pay, for your service because you're not big boxy and you do stand by, what you sell, and, you deliver on time. And if you don't deliver on time, you know who to call and yell at, until we fix it. And they can see a direct reflection of how good you are at your job with your reviews, which is a big part too. Not to go down that rabbit hole yet, but on the delivery side, when we started to look at our delivery team as being a profit center, they had to be self-sustaining and profitable. Well, that took our delivery charges up to maybe $100. And we're like, okay, we're cool. I'm able to pay for the delivery team. I'm able to pay for the vehicle, the insurance, the gas, all that kind of stuff. And the reason why we backed it back down into that base rate of $45 is that opportunity cost element that Matt was just saying, where we knew, to be a profitable delivery department, we had to charge this much, but we would sell a lot more if we were about half that.
In service, I know each stop we average $250 to $300 per stop. That's including the ones where we don't do anything. We just collect a service charge, and it also includes as high up as we can go. So for that reason, I don't take a tech. I've been really looking at it the way Scott's talking, as a profit center, because as you guys discussed on the new margins, as I was doing before I got set up with you guys, the margin was so small that the install was basically the only way I could make any money. I satisfied the customer by completing the service transaction, by selling them something and getting it installed, and then I try to make a little bit of money. But we're talking numbers, because that's what we're going to do here. We're going to tell you some of the numbers.
Beautiful.
I've been doing each delivery as a minimum of $150, and I'm telling you, it's not enough for a French door fridge, especially if you got to take doors off and maneuver it through a house and try not to break anything. All of the liability. I'm seriously considering going to $249, and for the reasons you said, Scott, I don't think I'll have any problem doing it, because people already will pay the price that I ask for an appliance because they trust me. There's a value. You call it the intangibles. There's an intangible value to knowing who you're doing business with. And sometimes it's knowing who you're not doing business with. There's something to that sales and service. And that's why we're doing this particular podcast, Behind the Bargains, is we're marrying service to sales instead of the other way around. I'm finding great benefits in this short amount of time by taking my service customers and converting them to sales customers, because it is a service. I was talking about it with a salesman customer of mine today. The beauty of sales is if you do it as a service, it's the most ethical thing you can do. Like, people look at sales as slimy. When people come in here, I can show them anything on my floor, and I will speak really highly of the ones I believe in, and I'll let them tell me what they want. I'll show them what I got.
I think that was one of the things that I discovered whenever I was first starting out in the retail store is I became minorly obsessed with learning everything about appliances. And I still don't know that much. I'm probably the worst appliance store owner when it comes to product knowledge. Matt can attest to that.
That's why we have Matt.
Yeah, exactly. But even then, like, just with that minor amount of YouTubing, or because I didn't have any manufacturer coming in and training me how things work, I had to go and figure it out. And I never got a customer that came through the door that ever knew more about appliances than I did. And I never really knew that much. I just knew enough that was relevant to them. And when you get that customer that comes in with a very specific thing that they're looking for, figure out why. Because they probably put themselves in a box, and it's probably the wrong box. But if you can kind of unravel that and figure out what the root thing that they're actually looking for, that's when the magic happens. That's when you start to build a relationship with that customer, and it's not just a transaction. It's great to have all the knowledge that Matt knows, but you don't have to have this wealth of knowledge. And I feel like a lot of people think that they have to know everything about something to sell it. I mean, I worked at a car lot whenever I was much, much younger. And like, you would see it with new salesmen all the time where they don't have the confidence because they don't know the product that well. Dude, just go meet them. Just go talk, make a friend, and just whatever you do know, offer it up as info and just form a relationship with them.
So let's do a shameless plug for the YouTube experience of learning about your appliances. We have our very own co-host on the other show, Ben Schlichter. Mm-hmm. Ben's Appliances and Junk on YouTube. I'll tell you, as a professional, I go there and I watch his stuff. He does such an in-depth explanation of the features, the good and the bad and the ugly.
Yeah.
Even though he does have favorites, he's completely unbiased. It's a great resource for not only customers, but for us guys. Because, man, I ain't got time to study it as deep as you guys, but that's a pretty good resource.
I didn't realize that Scott and Ben had a pre-existing relationship, and I'm like, yeah, honestly, this dude on YouTube taught me more about selling appliances than anybody at the company I worked for did.
And I was like, yeah, well, you're about to be a co-host on a podcast with Ben.
So, yeah.
Like, oh, cool.
But yeah, that's really what people are looking for. Like, they know if they go to the big box store, they're going to get the info that the manufacturers cram down their throat. They're going to get the sales pitch. So whenever they come to a small mom and pop like you or me, they're expecting more of a personal experience that doesn't have so heavy of a bias. So whenever you take information, you consume it like Ben's awesome channel, and it's really, really well done and really thought out. Like, good luck competing with that guy on the info train. Yeah.
And he's taken it to another level recently too.
There's a little nugget in what you just said, Scott, that I think it's important to talk about. So, you describe big box as being highly transactional. It's all manufacturer propaganda, for lack of a better word. But on the flip side, you have to understand that a lot of independent, brand new appliance dealers kind of suffer from the same disease, just from a different reason. So when you're a brand new appliance dealer, your salespeople are heavily influenced by manufacturer spiffs. Their dollar amounts paid directly to the salesperson when they sell specific models. So EJ, you need a new washer and dryer. You're coming in. I'm talking to you. I'm in your local independent, big-ish appliance store. And, I'm talking to you. I'm getting a sense of what you need. But I think Speed Queen might be in your budget. So I'm going to walk you over to the Speed Queen product. I'm going to really sell the heck out of it. And because I work for a Speed Queen Elite dealer, when I sell you that, I'm going to get $100 in my pocket. It's not the actual spiff. I'm just giving you a hypothetical, but it's true of every manufacturer. They they have a need to sell certain SKUs at certain times of the year. And so there's a rotating schedule of what qualifies for a spiff and what the dollar amounts are. So if you're a salesperson and an independent appliance dealer, you actually do have a very strong bias over what you sell. It's just not because of your corporate overlords telling you what needs to happen. It's because of your other corporate overlords putting money in your back pocket when you do the thing they want you to do. So the only time that a customer is going to shop for an appliance in a truly safe, unbiased way is at a scratch and dent store, is with an EJ, because there's absolutely nothing polluting that. There's no manufacturer noise. There's no
Mhm.
back end money and back end funding. It's all just, hey, I have this stuff. Let's talk about which one of these things fits you. It's not, how do I fit you into the thing that makes me the most money today as a salesperson?
Yeah, that's we talk a lot about this on this podcast because it's what we do. But coming from the service side to sales, there is that different experience level. We're not just repeating stuff that somebody came in and said. I work on the things. My team does. We know what lasts, what doesn't last, what has great features, what says they have great features, but doesn't really. We know how the warranties work out. We know a lot of these things. And when they come in, they're getting real firsthand experience. When I make a recommendation for a brand, it also comes after questions. What do you have? What are you looking for? Why you want it? How much you want to spend? And then I explain my recommendation is based off of a few things. What is the common failure for that model? How much does it cost for us to repair that for you? And what's the likelihood that it's going to happen? And how soon? Because when I'm putting my name on it, I'm going to be straight. I ain't married to any of these companies except for the one that's on my chest. And I'm going to tell you straight. You know, if LG's got bad compressors and Samsung's got bad ice makers, I'm going to let you know. Now, I'm also going to give you the real. Is it worth the repair? Yeah. If you got an LG fridge and the compressor goes out, it's 100% worth fixing. Do it. But if you don't want to, I'll show you one here in the floor.
Yeah. Have you started to offer those two options, the repair and the sales yet? Or too soon?
So I actually had the first option today. I ran a few service calls, and my first customer today was an LG French door. It was a 2016, so 8-9 years old. Still inside the parts warranty for the compressor. And it had dings and dents on it. And I thought, this guy is not going to do this repair, but I'd sure as heck sell him another scratch and dent, and we'd be fine. But I have to stay true to my core. And I don't know if this is going to change as we go. Maybe I'll sell out, but we're a repair first company. People call us because they want it repaired. When they call us because they want to buy one, then I'm a sales first. Go ahead.
It'll be really interesting as you do this over time to see what that ratio is. And I wonder if, in fact, like you having the new thing to compare it to actually supports the repair of it. Like, for instance, that refrigerator, hey, I've got the option. It's this mega number right here because it's a high-end type product, or the repair. Now it kind of puts it into perspective how realistic your repair actually is.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've been selling these repairs compared to big box stores until now. If this LG French door repair, I'm selling it at $1,000 because LG gives us a free compressor. That's two different options.
Yeah.
And you know, a new one might be $2,500 to $3,500, but I have this other option here. I can fix this thing where it sits. Quick, easy, painless. You know, we'll come back tomorrow and we'll do it. It's $1,000. Or you can buy this one for $1,500 to $2,000, and we'll have it to you within 2 or 3 days. And the best part is the only blue shirts they look at say EJ's on them.
Cool. Well, let's talk about sales cycles. So before we hopped on this podcast, we started talking. We were talking about sales cycles and how they work. Matt, why don't you give us a little take? Like, how do big box stores, particularly What does their sales cycle look like in a brief?
So there are the secondary holidays. If you are an appliance person in big box retail, you have a whole different holiday schedule than the rest of America. Your holidays are President's Day. The week before and the week after President's Day comprise the second most valuable appliance holiday. And it's one of two secondary holidays that are renovation focused. So typically people plan to renovate their homes during the summer months and possibly spring months. They're going to buy the appliances for that renovation during sales periods and the period before the renovation begins. Most people. Your next big holiday on the calendar is Memorial Day. That is the second renovation focused holiday. So those two holidays, you are going to see promotions targeted at kitchen packages, laundry packages, and really geared towards people renovating their homes. So there's a lot of emphasis on built-in cooking and built-in refrigeration. That's where the heavy pushes are. Moving on from that, July 4th. So July 4th is a huge appliance secondary holiday. It is probably one of the highest revenue holidays out of the whole stretch for most appliance stores. It's really the peak. And then your next holiday after that is Labor Day. So Labor Day is going to be kind of a weak discount holiday. That's usually 30 to 35% off of MSRP as the advertised top line discount. That one's going to be very break fix oriented. So EJ, you know this. What starts to break in your house during the fall months?
The ovens and dryers.
Yup. And you'll notice too, if we wind back the clock a little bit, what breaks during the summer months?
Fridges.
And if you pay attention to the promotions, they're going to be centered around those categories. So like your July 4th promos, when you look at every advertisement for every big box retailer, it's going to be very fridge centric. When you get to Labor Day and when you get to Black November, it's going to be very cooking and laundry centric. And they do that for a reason because they know that people's products fail in those categories during those times of the year. So like this is an incredible amount of thought that goes into it. But Black November lasts the entire month of November, bleeds into December, and it's just crazy. Blow everything out, go as hard as you can, sell as much as you can at the thinnest possible margins to just get stuff out the door.
So that's like the big box store sales cycle, right? It's going up and down throughout the year. I wonder if the valleys of the big box store up and down, if people are choosing to repair their appliance more because those promotions aren't advertised as much.
We have peaks and valleys as well, and strangely they kind of mirror these. So when I would not be successful selling at a great volume from maybe mid-January to Memorial Day, it's kind of slow. Is what we call the slow season in service. That's January, February, March, April. As it gets warmer, it starts to pick up a little bit for the same reasons we were talking about summer, June, July, August. We're looking at refrigerators. Also during these holidays, people entertain more. So they may be dealing with their ice maker not working in their fridge, but they got this big pool party coming for Memorial Day weekend. If they're not in the market for the new, they're definitely in the market for fixing it. And we see that increase drastically in November as well. People that don't cook in their oven all year long, all of a sudden need to do a self-clean because they don't want everybody to see how dirty it is. They take the cheap way out. And then
Button of death.
we stock up on bake elements and igniters for that same time. In the summer, we're stocking up on compressors and ice makers. During October, we push dryer vent cleaning for dryers. It's fire safety month. But the rest of it is the opposite. So if we're looking at these holidays where I'm not going to be very successful in sales because we're competing, well, that's a great repair season for me. But in the off seasons when box stores ain't knocking everything down 30 to 45%, I'm going to shine. And that's right when my repair business is kind of tanking a little bit. And I'll tell you, if you're doing service and you're not considering at least doing some kind of supplemental sales or some other service, I've tried the other services, and I'll tell you, this is probably the most inclusive, all-encompassing idea that we've had. Is no matter what time of the year, if they don't want to repair, I got something for you. If they don't want to buy new, I've got something for you.
It's a game changer. Well, we're excited to have you along for the journey, EJ. This is going to be cool. Appreciate you guys being on, and we will catch you guys on the next one.